What's up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea, and I am joined here again in the season two live coverage by Sam, part of our draft. Sam, how are you? I know things have been a little hectic on your end, with with everything going on. How have you been?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm definitely a little busier than I'm used to, but that's all good. I'm getting married in 19 days, so that's kind of been taking up the majority of my time. Uh, but yeah, no, everything is good. No complaints.
Well, congratulations for you
Thank
getting
you.
married soon. That's awesome. And thanks for taking time out of that to come and talk about this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to
Um,
be here.
Happy to have you back. And so the last time we spoke, I think you were the first person to talk to me about the season. It was, the episode one. So I don't think at that point anybody had been voted out yet. So now we have six people eliminated. So I was wondering, of of the six people, were you surprised at any of these eliminations early on, or did it kind of go the way you thought it would?
I would say, I'm trying to think back if like any one of them like really surprised me. Um, hmm. None of them like super stand out to me. I think more so because everyone's name seems to like there always seems to be like a few names that are going around that like people are targeting for like that particular round. Some of it bleeds into other rounds and whatnot. So from what I'm remembering, I think it's mostly always some name that's already come up that like ends up going out like by the end of the round. I think, not having seen too many of like the big powers or anything like that show up to cause like those major blindsides. Um, Now, I might be eating my words when I'm like, oh yeah, but that person I'm just not thinking of right now. But um, yeah, I can't, yeah. Not nothing super major that's like sticking out to me in this moment that I can remember.
Yeah, and the only real blindside that we've had up to this point was Keaton, but I think Keaton's name
Yes.
was out there a lot, so it made sense.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was just quickly glancing at the draft, and it seems like you're already down to one player. So I was
Yeah.
wondering, you think Kennedy can take it home for you?
Um, Oof. Okay. So with the result that we've seen in this most recent episode, I think, it potentially takes some of the heat off of Kennedy, as in, there's maybe she will be less part of the conversation of, oh, this is a threat or this person's a threat or, you know, anything like that. But ooh, I don't know. I think her days may be numbered in like the Ascendance Live 2 house. I think once your name is out there, it is hard to get like that target off of you completely. You know, you never know. You never know. I'm not counting her out completely because it's just a matter of securing safety for yourself. And when it comes down to the individual part of the game, I think she, stands a good chance there, depending who's left. And then the team portion, you can't rely on yourself so much. You do have to work well together with the team that you're placed with. So I think if she can kind of get by until that's over, maybe. But I don't think her chances are super great, but I'm not counting her out.
Who do you think's chances are super great? Like, who do you think if you were to who do you think's a front runner? I guess.
Um, okay, so I think Taisha is, really well positioned. I think we've
Shout
seen
out
some really
season
great.
10.
Yes, absolutely. I think we've seen some really great stuff from Wes, in the episode just before, where he's like, I like he kind of like he knew himself well enough to know like I need to sleep. I'm not going to be able to function. And he woke up to him being the name, and he was like, and he fixed it. He's like, no, we're not doing this. So like I love to be able to see that adaptability from a player. Also, Drew, Drew still has the pendant of protection, and he has a lot of people in his corner, and I think he's kind of set up to go far. And I mean, I'd put Erica in there as well. Erica's name was out early, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly. But that hasn't really come up again. One thing I noticed in this episode, I'm sure we'll get to it, but I don't think anybody peeked at Erica's card. Um, so either that means they're not worried about her, or they trust her enough to like not care, or just not on someone's radar, whatever the case may be. So yeah, and Jodie. So I think those are like my four. I'm gonna say Jodie, Taisha, and Wes, and Drew slash Erica for the last spot.
So that's about 4 or 5. So that's, I think, a good chunk of contenders
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I agree. I do agree with a lot with most of those people. I do think Wesley.
Mhm.
It's funny you said that. He was able to kind of pivot and get his name out of people's mouths at that last 20 minutes of the strategy. But I feel like Wesley's name's been out there like a lot, like at every opportunity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's fought through it. So,
Hmm.
but
Let's
anyway, what
see.
you alluded to it. Let's get into this episode here. Kind of fun to see, food chain brought into the live portion. I know you played food chain in
Hmm.
your season online, and they've been doing that, I think, ever since All Stars. I know in All Stars that wasn't a thing, but I think post. So it seems to be a staple. It's kind of like a game inside a game, which is kind of like it was interesting to follow. Anything stand out with the competition? I know I spoke to Melissa and I thought it was funny where, Paul gave her a little elbow there. It was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Anything stand out in the competition for you?
Um, let me go see back to my notes on this. So, I think the thing that stood out to me, I guess going from online version to live, one thing that stood out to me was there were like the mechanics of it were just like tweaked a little bit, in that there were a lot more opportunities to see what other people had or who other people were, which I actually really liked that. That was kind of cool. Um, and yeah, it was really cool to just see it play out on camera and like visually see people in the different rooms and like the strategizing. I think we saw a lot of people, like a lot of people's like strategic thinking side come out, and it was really, I really enjoyed seeing that aspect of it play out. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I thought going into like once they announced that it was going to be food chain, having hosted the online portion of it, like I get confused a lot, just like watching what's going
Yeah.
on, and that's why like I'm usually the one that goes into the sky and kind of, like nobody really ever goes there except like because they can't. But I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be really confusing to follow, but it actually was not that bad. I thought I was able to like kind of understand everything. But
Mhm.
you said there were more opportunities to see what people had. Is that what you mean, like in the beginning, right before the game started, like people could peek at like what people's roles were?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
typically, is that in like the online version? Is that like you only get to look at one person?
Um, I don't remember exactly, but I don't recall there being like nearly as many opportunities. Either it wasn't written into the like your card, like it just wasn't a part of like your abilities. And then also just having the advantage that Hot Girl Chris had um wasn't I believe wasn't like an advantage like at the time in the online version. So I think there were just a lot more data points to be able to kind of compare like who's who, which I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
It was a fun competition. A lot of highlights. I thought. A lot of. I thought the elbow was so funny. It was a little cringy, but it was funny to watch. And it seems like Melissa and Paul were good sports about the whole thing. Uh, Melissa seems to be the house target still. And it seemed
Hmm.
like throughout the competition, people were like trying to eliminate her. And they succeeded. So I was wondering, what did you do you think what do you think about Melissa being voted out here? Do you think anybody like misplayed this? Like, should have used Melissa as a shield, maybe? Like anybody,
Hmm.
maybe this wasn't the greatest idea for them.
Yeah, so I think I'm biased. Melissa was my first round draft pick and obviously rooting for her, but I think,
I drafted her
having
too, Sam. I drafted her too.
oh, it hurts.
Gone too soon. Gone too soon.
But yeah, after thinking about it on it a bit more, I think her allies might have had the right idea. I mean, a number is a number, and she would have at least stuck with like her core group, or at least like the ladies in her room, or that for a bit. But is it worth having that number if you do feel solid with the other six people that you have as a voting block? Is it worth the backlash? I think, these games are a lot of like, it's a balancing act, right? So whatever it is that you choose is going to have consequences. And, are you going to be equipped to deal with that? And, a lot of her allies were realizing and trying to save her that this is going to cause a lot of blowback on me. And if I save her this round, what does that mean for me going forward? And I think a lot of people found themselves in that position and decided to just kind of cut their losses in that sense. I think, maybe if they had been down more in numbers, or, I just don't know that the benefit outweighed the negatives for keeping Melissa around in that. Because that was my first thought too. It's kind of like the go-to in a scenario where if you are that big target, it's a really easy thing to fall back on, being like, keep me as a shield, keep me around, I'll go first. But that's only good if you're not next in line once your shield's gone. And I think her allies were worried about that target following them, and that it just wasn't worth it. So my long-winded answer to your question basically is I think they might have made the right call. I hate myself for saying it, but I think so.
And it seems like it was kind of a divided like choice. It seems like Erica kind of puts her foot down and is like not on board for
Hmm.
it, which is interesting to see because it seems like Erica in previous rounds has let her allies go. Like she let Chris go over Jolie. I mean, they were both her allies.
Yeah.
And so here she kind of lets Melissa go just because she felt like she was kind of painting a target on her. So Melissa
Hmm.
voted out. What did you think about Melissa and Carson just ripping up powers at the elimination?
Oh my gosh. Okay. It was so funny. Like all I could think of is like the people still left in the game, especially like if like at that point they knew like Carson wasn't the one going. You see later on when people are submitting their votes and stuff, Melissa kind of seems to know like, her time was up, it was going to be her. So like I can understand her ripping hers up. Like no, like none of you, can I swear?
Yeah, let it out.
I was gonna say, like, none of you bitches can have this. No, like, if I'm going, like, goodbye. But like, I don't think that was like fully the sentiment behind it. But like, whatever. But the Carson one, like, threw me off a bit. I was like, did Carson have the team swap one, or was that Melissa's?
I believe I have a chart here, so momentarily wait
Yeah.
here. I know that Melissa had the team swap,
Okay.
which she didn't really ever have an opportunity to use because she was captain the
Yeah.
next round once she got it. But Carson had couple of cards I did here. 1 second. Uh, Carson had a bench. So he was able to sit 2 people out of a captain challenge. So he
Okay.
decided to let that one go.
So, yeah, I feel like in Carson's case, it's like, I don't know, going to see this is the only example I can think of right now, but like you got a paper cut and you've made an appointment with the top surgeon in the country because you need it fixed. It's like a huge like leap for something that like maybe you could have like navigated that a little differently, held on to your advantage, but like lessened your target in a different way. We'll never know. But I was just like, oh no, that's so useful. Why are you doing that? You're not probably going. Oh my God.
Um, yeah, it's crazy, and Carson's name's been out there a lot, so it's just
Yeah.
wild. Just a
Yeah. Yeah.
wild move there.
But entertaining. I enjoyed that. Uh I like regardless of like the game implications that might have for Carson down the line. Made for great TV.
Made for great TV for sure, and it's kind of the equivalent in Survivor where they throw those idols in the fire. Like you want to play that, But little inside baseball talking with Melissa. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but those ripped up powers, even though they're ripped up, I believe they can still be used. So it's going to be interesting to see
Oh,
if people catch up on
okay.
just like pick that shit up and use it.
That's really funny.
So there's
Oh
2 of
my
those.
gosh. Okay, because yeah, Carson handed it back to
Papa.
Papa, I think.
Yeah.
So I wonder,
I
does
don't
that
really
just
know
go
what's going to
back
happen with
into
that one.
circulation? Like, yeah. Okay, interesting.
But it'll be
Interesting.
interesting to see because I believe Melissa's, if we look back at the episode, it's just like on the ground somewhere.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if people like are like squirming around to get that. So
Hmm.
Melissa House target gone. Um, any predictions here on who's in trouble, you think?
Um, hmm. I think who would be so potentially like Kennedy. I I don't know if that's gonna kind of continue. Um, who I'm just looking at the list of like who,
Do you perceive it
Marvin
as
and
kind of, not to cut you off, but do you perceive it as like a side thing now with like that 4-person alliance of Thomas, Drew, Taisha, Zoe, and then kind of Jodely on the outskirts of that, and I
Mhm.
guess Wesley, um, versus the other people, like the Marvin, Kennedy, Hot Girl Chris, and Paul side of things.
Yeah, I think honestly, depending on how the next captain challenge goes and how the teams shape up, I think that will either like really solidify that or give some people the opportunity to like shake up that potential power structure. So like I can honestly see it going both ways. I think more likely than not, um, I see like the those 6 people sticking together potentially if the teams turn out like in a way that works for them. And I think whoever's like set to benefit the most out of those sides will probably like are going to push to make it happen. And I think this next episode will kind of solidify whether or not like we see that kind of carry through like the rest of the story. um but yeah, okay, I have a question for you. Like, let's say we see those
Sure.
2 sides actually form and kind of like stick together. What side do you think would come out victorious over the other?
I think that the side with Thomas and Drew, Erica, I think that side seems a little bit more organized.
Yeah.
And the people on the opposite side, which is I believe mainly a lot of like the original blue team.
Hmm.
Like the Marvin Kennedy, Paul Hako, Chris side, they seem to be a little bit more all over the place, kind of like make it round by round, but like also like protect each other. Um, so I could see like them conceding a person from their side a little bit easier than the other side, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
And also it
Definitely.
we could be nearing, the individual phase as well. So uh, that's also something. I think maybe one more team round because I think they're at final six people eliminated, so final 12. So maybe final
Hmm.
11 brings the individual stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really interested to see, um, you mentioning that makes me think even more so, like there's even more motivation to keep your voting block, your numbers intact, if that's just looming on the horizon, just yeah, even more incentive to kind of get your shit together and get your people, get your numbers, solidify it.
Which is kind of why I do think, some of the people on that side voting out Melissa here was not the best move, but they do
Yeah.
theoretically have more numbers at this point without her still. But I don't know. I just, like you said, somebody that is going to vote with you or be a number for you, you know, you don't really want to let those people go, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna fancy Fencerton this one, and ooh, I don't know, I might be changing my mind a little. That maybe it wasn't the right call.
I don't know. The people in there probably have better reads, on what's going on. So we'll go
Hmm.
we'll go with what they did.
Yeah. Question for you all, another question for you.
Sure.
Um, so where is there ever more than one double? Like either in like last season live or in like other the online format. I just can't remember.
The online format, there's definitely multiple doubles that happen.
Okay.
Last season, I don't believe there was, but I
Okay.
could I could see two doubles happening in this season, just because they did a double in season one right at the beginning of jury. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 18 people this season as opposed to 16 last. So I could see this double being one of them,
Yeah.
and then you know, another double at the beginning of jury.
Yeah. So like the reason I ask is because I think we got a little um uh I can't think of the word. But when Nicole was introducing the episode, she said the first double of Ascendance Live 2. And then again at the end, or she said it twice, and I was like, the first double. Hmm. So
I
I was
did
like,
not pick
okay.
up on that.
Yeah, she said it two different times. And I was like, after the first time, I was like, oh, interesting. And after the second time, I'm like, so we're gonna see another double, I think.
I think you might be right, and um, that'll be fun. I think it probably maybe single here and then double at if it is a final 11 for individual stage, maybe a double there. Because that's, I
Hmm.
believe, where Peyton wins last season and Jeffrey and Destiny get eliminated. So,
Yeah.
but shit,
Yeah.
I mean, anything else? You've been asking me a lot of questions as opposed to me
Yeah.
asking you. Anything, anything else that you want to talk about regarding the season so far?
Um, I am rooting for Paul to find a power. I hope that by the time everything is said and done, that he gets something. I don't care if he finds it on his bed because somebody willed it to him. I just, he just put in a lot of work searching. And I feel like all that effort should be rewarded with the power.
Did you hear what Paul, like at when he voted for Marvin? He said something. Said something. and then look it up. I don't know what he said, but he's like,
Oh, he said Chekhov's gun, and I looked it up,
shitball. I
and
know that you're much smarter than me, and I don't I don't know what that shit is. So
okay, let me look real quick. It is a dramatic principle that suggests that details within a story or play will contribute to the overall narrative. Okay, so like I think it's like a fake out. Like
woo.
he's like, I don't throw votes, I don't throw votes, I don't throw votes. Now I'm gonna throw a vote and you're not gonna suspect it's me.
What do you think? I mean, do you think anybody's gonna care about that?
Um, no, I think, you know, thrown votes really only matter if it's like if everyone's expecting it to go a certain way 100%. I didn't so much get the vibe here that that was the case. Or if yeah, like if you have a certain voting block, you're expecting five here and it's not that. Or like, yeah, I don't think that was as much the case, for this vote, but who knows, maybe. Um, and we just
It's
didn't like get a chance to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty deep into the season to be throwing votes. We usually see those early on, kind of throwaway votes, mass majority.
Yeah.
So maybe he's
Yeah.
onto something. There's always got something going on in that guy's brain, I know.
Oh, for sure. No, Paul has definitely been like a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I always kind of worry in online or live games where there's there are people who are connected and just inherently you can't really avoid that. We're like the biggest, smallest community out there, right? It seems really big, but at the core of it, it kind of isn't. And Paul coming in to that, I always worry, like Paul or Zoe, who aren't not connected, but like they've been killing it. And I guess Zoe's another one in this episode too. You're just really seeing the relationships that she's been able to build and those connections, from episode one and the wine night has turned into like this solid four that Drew is now a part of. And like you're seeing, those early decisions that like both of them have been making, I guess, like in their own right, just kind of amount to something in the game that's going to work well for them. I think maybe Zoe, maybe more so than Paul, in that regard. But yeah, I I can't say enough good things about those two.
Yeah, they're definitely people that really surprised me. Really
Mhm.
surprised me from preseason to now. I I think Paul's so fun to watch, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many fun
no,
things with Paul going on, and um, but yeah, that is basically all that I have to talk about up to this point of Ascendance Live. Great questions for me. Really appreciate that, Sam. But uh, but anything else, I guess, before I close it out here?
mm, I no, I don't think so. I think the only thing I have, which I don't know that either of us will have an answer to this, somebody said something about Greg when they were voting, and I was like, I don't know who Greg is. Do you know who Greg is?
I don't even know if there's anybody on production named Greg.
I don't think so either. So I was like, okay, I was like, I just need to ask. I think maybe it's who knows, unimportant detail.
I'll rewatch the episode and try to figure that out.
Like maybe it's a code
And
name for something, the way that Maddie was a code name on production.
yeah, and that didn't last too long, it seems like. So,
No,
well, shit. This has been fun catching up as always, Sam. Thank you for taking some time out of, the busyness to hop back on the pod and talk
of
some
course.
talk some ascendance. Uh, Good luck the rest of the way with, Kennedy as your sole person on the draft. You know, you still have a person left, so you still have some fight in the game.
Still in it.
All right. Thanks, guys.